The Capilano Golf and Country Club, West Vancouver, British Columbia. A rolling course set at a beautiful evergreen forest on Canada's west coast. A match over 18 holes between George Knudson, promising young Canadian professional, frequent competitor on the PGA Tour in the United States, winner of the Coral Gables, Puerto Rico, and Portland Opens, and Stan Leonard, Canada's all-time great, 8 times Canadian PGA champion, veteran Canada Cup competitor, and winner of the Tournament of Champions. To analyze today's match for us, the legendary Gene Sarazen, winner of every major title in golf. I'm George Rogers on the scene here at Capilano, and this is Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, a series of international matches played on the world's most famous golf courses. This week, the Capilano Golf and Country Club, West Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Canada, the United States' good neighbor to the north, is made up of 2 territories and 10 provinces. The westernmost province, British Columbia, includes Vancouver Island and the capital city of Victoria. Just across the Strait of Georgia on the mainland is Vancouver, Canada's 3rd largest city. Vancouver's colorful totem pole, still whittled out in the same expert fashion by descendants of the tribes that once camped here, may spell out old Indian legends. But the gigantic evergreens that come crashing to earth throughout western Canada's thousands of square miles of forest lands, huge wooden logs being tossed about like so many toothpicks while being assembled for the mills, and millions of feet of lumber being fed into the teeth of giant saws, really tell the story of modern Vancouver. For lumbering is what transformed this one-time sawmill town into a bustling metropolis of 790,000 people. A city which in 80 years has boomed into Canada's 2nd largest port. A spacious and comfortable city, Vancouver provides its inhabitants with a year-round vacation land. Dazzling beaches of white sand are furnished with backrests of natural timber for bathers. Bubbling rivers and inland streams, chock full of steelhead and trout, lure the world's most avid fishermen. Natural inlets along the coastline provide weekend sailors sheltered waters on which to cruise on their yachts. Annual logging camp games give contestants a chance to test their skills in daredevil competitions. And Stanley Park, covering 1,000 acres of natural land, is where you can spend an entire afternoon watching a family of uninhibited polar bears clowning outrageously, getting a pointer on snorkeling from a friendly seal, or observing sophisticated penguins strutting primly in their sartorial finery. One of the most spectacular sights of all in Vancouver is the Capilano Suspension Bridge, stretching 450 feet across a canyon 230 feet below, and offering a dizzying view no matter what the vantage point. Not far from the bridge, nestled in an evergreen forest in West Vancouver, is the scene of today's match, the Capilano Golf and Country Club, one of Canada's most beautiful courses. Here on the first tee at Capilano, we're just a few steps from the practice putting green where Stan and George are getting ready for today's match. And we might take this opportunity to remind you that our players are competing for a total of $5,000 in prize money. $3,000 to the winner, $2,000 to the loser, and of course, in the event of a tie, $2,500 apiece. Today our course will play to 6,605 yards, and our match, under rules approved by the Royal Canadian Golf Association, will be 18 holes medal or stroke play. I see that Gene has joined us here. He's talking to Mrs. J.H. Byrne. She's a member of the club and will be our official scorekeeper. And the gentleman on the left is Jock McKinnon. He was the original pro here at Capilano, and he's still at his job some 26 years later. See, now that our players have concluded their practice putting, they're moving on to the first tee to join our referee for today, who is Mr. Doug Bagis. He's a member here at Capilano and is also a director of the British Columbia Golf Association. By the way, the only legal-sized ball in Canada is the large American ball, so both players will be playing that. They're going over the local rules, and they're just about set for the toss of the coin. It has been called by George Knudson and won by George Knudson. He will drive first. From the championship elevated tee on the par 5, 483-yard opening hole, you drive down a relatively wide fairway that descends sharply about 250 yards out. That long fairway bunker on the left runs approximately from 210 to 240 yards. Evergreens line the entire right side of the fairway, which narrows to a relatively small green protected by 2 small bunkers on the front right and by 1 on the left. It's just a little bit hazy here on the first tee this morning. And here is George Knudson, a native of Winnipeg, province of Manitoba. 5'10", 145 pounds, registered out of the Oakdale Golf and Country Club in Toronto, where he's been the pro since 1958. And George has hit his tee shot straight away down the center of the fairway, catches short of the top of the rise, and will finish down over the rise about 260 or 65 yards from the tee. Now here is Stan Leonard, a native of Vancouver, British Columbia. He has been a golf professional since 1938. At 5'8" and 160 pounds, he is quite a physical specimen, very strong player. And Stan has hit his tee shot down the right side. It is going to be quite close to the trees, did not come in as he intended, and will finish over the rise on the right, just short of George Knudson's ball. Stan Leonard hit his opening tee shot down the right side about 260 yards from the tee. The pin in this first green is to the left and rear, but even so, Stan is going to have to play a little bit of a left to right fade to get around these trees. He is too close to the trees to hit it straight away. And he is going to go with a 4-iron. It'll be a good full 4 from there. Stan is not going to reach that green. He's going to hit the trees on the right. He tried to cut it around. The ball went a little bit left to right on him, and he finishes in short rough on the right by a tree. Here is young George Knudson with a fine opening tee shot, great position. Slightly left center of the fairway, about 265 yards from the tee. He's going to hit a nice, easy 3-iron. And he caught that one pretty well, I'll tell you. He's going to carry it onto the green and stops it just short of pin high. Beautiful shot. Well, Stan Leonard has put himself in difficulty early in the game here. He cut his second shot on the first hole and put it back at the Douglas fir trees on the right. He has no shot to the green. He can simply take his pitching wedge and try to get it out on the fringe to the right of the green. Tough shot from there. And he has hit it out, carried it on the fringe. It gets a kick to the right and is going to go into the rough way to the right end behind the green. And it was a good shot to get it out there, but Stan is a long, long way from that pin. Well, his first hole was proving to be a mighty tough one for Stan Leonard. He now lies 3 well back of the green in the deep rough. He's about 95 or 100 feet from the pin, and the ball is just sitting up in deep grass. It's liable to fly in any way, shape, or form. Stanley's in with a pitching wedge, just trying to get this close to save his par 5. Hit it up high, carries it a few inches short of the green, and of course, the ball stopped quite quickly, I'd say about 16, 18 feet away. George Knudson finds himself at least temporarily in the driver's seat early in the match here. He has put 2 shots home on this par 5 first hole. He's about 25 feet from the hole. Has what appears to be almost a straight putt. If anything, he might hit it out at the right lip, putting for an eagle 3. How about that? Yes, left it a couple of inches short. Beautiful approach putt. So George Knudson taps in for a birdie 4 in the very first hole. And now Stan Leonard finds himself about 17 feet short of the hole. He has this putt to try to salvage a par 5. What a 5. Beautiful, hard-earned and par 5 for Stan Leonard, and George Knudson with a birdie 4 has a one-shot lead after the very first hole. Gene, as they might say in a game other than golf, Stan Leonard just made 5 the hard way there.
George, I've seen many a putt in my day. I've never seen one hit that hard it can go in the hole.
Actually, he caught, what, the back of the cup?
Yes, I think that hole is a little lopsided now.
And it went up in the air and right down. He made a great 5, but George Knudson made a birdie 4. So after one hole at Capilano, Knudson has a one-shot lead on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. On the second hole, Chalet, a 403-yard par 4, Knudson picked up another stroke on Leonard, as George made his 4 and Stan, missing the green, bogeyed. Knudson 1 under, Leonard 1 over. From the evergreen sheltered tee, the par 5, 451-yard third hole plays to a blind tee shot over a fairway rise. The hole is dogleg slightly to the right by a fairway bunker about 240 yards out. Baby cedars on the left and a fairway bunker 60 yards short of the green narrow your approach shot. The green is protected on the right front by a mound and by a huge elongated bunker and by a shallow bunker on the left. George Knudson, 1 under par, retaining the honor here on the third hole. George, you'll notice that address has his right foot just about at right angles to the line of flight with his left foot quite open in the direction in which he's going to hit the ball. If you watch his right foot, you can tell almost exactly where he's aiming. And he hit a right to left shot. Keeping it over on the safe side of the fairway, carries it way, way down over the ridge, and that ball should really have run on it. Now, Stan Leonard, who at least to this point of the match has been having just a little bit of trouble pushing the ball. In other words, hitting a long straight shot, but slightly to the right of where he intends the ball to go. He will not want to push on this hole because, of course, there are bunkers on the right out there about 240 or 50 yards away. Stan's setting himself up again to hook. Ooh, no. He really hit it a long way, but pushed it out to the right. And we'll have to wait till we get down there to see where that ball finished up. Well, George Knudson continues to drive the ball just beautifully here at Capilano. He's been in the ideal position on every fairway thus far. He's left center here, 250 yards from the tee. He has a 2-iron, and I believe he can reach this green if he hits his shot well. And I do believe he's hit it well. Carries it short. It is going to run onto the left edge of the green, and he has put it home in 2 on this par 5, as he did on the first hole. Well, Stan Leonard, again, has pushed his tee shot a little bit to the right on this hole, but he hit it so darn far, about 270 yards or so, that he completely carried all the bunkers and trouble on the right. Now, he got a bad break. His ball finished in a depression that the mower could not get at. It is lying in clover. He had an iron, but now he has switched clubs. I'd say he's going to hit a 3 or 4 iron to try to just get it up in the air. It could fly on him out of there. Will come out with very little spinner control. And he has started it again out to the right, but it is coming in now, hitting short and running right up on the green. And boy, he has hit a gorgeous approach shot here on the third hole. Well, George Knudson is putting for his second eagle of the match right here on the third green. He had an eagle putt on the first hole, which just missed. He made his birdie there, par of the second. Now he has put 2 shots home here on this long third hole. And he has asked his caddy to attend the pin. He's about 34 feet from the hole, slightly uphill, and this putt, as it slows, should have a tremendous right-to-left break to it because the green is running that way. Did you see that thing break off? He really charged the putt and put it about 4.5 feet past. Sometimes you can try so hard to make 3 that you make 5. Stan Leonard had a beautiful second shot in here out of a tough lie. And Stanley now has to come down hill a little bit. He's about 16 feet away, and he, too, is putting for an eagle 3. Stanley's 1 over par. He'd really like to get this down. See the way that ball breaks around that hole? That thing must have broken 15, 16 inches. Stan Leonard birdies the third hole to go back to even par. Now George Knudson has this putt for you. Birdie 4. To go 2 under par. And he gets it. Fine, birdie 4. He has birdied the first 2 par 5 holes, the first and the third. He's 2 under, Stan Leonard even par. Gene, George Knudson's putting these greens pretty well.
Yes, you know, that's a brand new putter he's got, because he was putting bad with his old one, and a new thing is always better than the old.
He got it in the shop yesterday. I don't imagine he's complaining about the price he paid for it. After 3 holes, Knudson 2 under, leading Leonard by 2 shots here at Capilano. Even if Capilano were not the demanding test of golf that it is, its spectacular setting high over beautiful Vancouver Harbor would make it worth the visit. And the harbor never shows to better advantage than when it is graced by one of the great luxury liners that regularly call here. Passengers line the rails of the Orcades, eager for their first glimpse of the city they will visit before the ship sails on to the Orient. They watch, too, as the small but powerful tugs take over to swing the mighty vessel into its berth. And even as the travelers come down the gangway to spend a few hours ashore, Shell is on the job. In those few hours, tons of fuel oil that will power the Orcades across the Pacific must be transferred from the Shell barge to the liner, so not a moment is wasted. In a matter of minutes from the time the ship is docked, the valves are opened and the ship's tanks begin to fill. But fueling the glamorous cruise ships is just part of the role Shell plays in Vancouver Harbor. Vancouver is the gateway through which pass the rich products of Western Canada. To carry these treasures to the world requires hundreds of cargo ships. And these, too, Shell serves. In this engine room alone, 9 different types of Shell lubricants are used. And whether they are taken on here in Vancouver, or in Hong Kong, or wherever else the Shell trademark is seen, they are made to the same standard of excellence for which Shell is known the world over. In beautiful Vancouver Harbor, as in every other major port in the free world, this is the symbol of excellence, of Shell's constant search for new products, new ideas, new ways to serve you better. Here at the Capilano Golf Club on the 4th hole, Lily Pond, the 168-yard par 3 over water, George Knudson with a par picked up another stroke on Stan Leonard, who 3-putted. Knudson 2 under, Leonard 1 over. On the 5th hole, a 504-yard par 5 over water, which doglegs to the right, Knudson, who had birdied the first 2 par 5 holes, aimed for the safe left side. He faded his ball from left to right into the middle of the fairway, 270 yards out. Leonard, who had been pushing the ball over the first 4 holes, nevertheless aimed close to the angle of the dogleg on the right. He hit the ball flush on the button and drove it right center fairway in ideal position, 260 yards off the tee. Ignoring the out of bounds both behind and to the left of the saucer-shaped green, Leonard tried to reach with his forewood. Again, he came off the ball slightly, pushed it to the right, and barely missing the bunker on the right, trickled to a stop in the fringe, some 60 feet from the hole. Knudson also tried to get home in 2 with the forewood. He failed to catch all of the ball, pushed it to the right, and finished in the very bunker Leonard had just barely avoided. George, some 100 feet from the pin, faced a long explosion to a green sloping downhill away from him. He cut it into the air, dropped it gently on the downslope, and stopped it 7 feet from the hole. After Knudson had marked his ball, Stan lined up his delicate downhill chip shot with a pitching wedge. He gauged the left to right fall of the green perfectly and laid the ball 3 feet from the hole. When Leonard had marked, George tried for a birdie 4, which could put him 3 under par. He rolled it squarely into the hole, which meant that he had successfully birdied each and every one of the par 5 holes that he had played. The first, the third, and the fifth. Stan, showing no signs of dismay at Knudson's amazing assault on par, carefully lined up his 3-footer, also for a birdie 4. He made it to return to even par, but still found himself trailing by 3 strokes after 5 holes. On the 6th hole, Lyons Gate, a descending 401-yard par 4, both players were on in 2 and down in 2. No change in the match. On the 7th, Lowlands, a 436-yard par 4 dogleg to the right. Both Knudson and Leonard declined again and hit their drives to the safe left center of the fairway.
2 tremendous tee shots here on the 7th hole. You could cover them with a hat. George Knudson on about 265, Stan Leonard about 275. Both of them with side hill lies with the ball below their feet, and they're hitting long irons in here. George Knudson's going to go to a 2-iron. He'd be way down into that shaft. Stand a little bit, again, forward of the ball. There's a great tendency to slice this shot, hit it left to right. And he is allowed for that. He is aimed at left, hit short of the green, and will roll up just barely short of the putting surface. That's a very hard lie from which to play a long iron shot. Well, this is the first time that George Knudson has missed a green in regulation figures in this match, and perhaps the door is going to open up a little bit for Stan Leonard, except that he, too, has that side hill lie with the ball beneath his feet. He's hitting a 3-iron. You absolutely must stay down on this shot. If you come off it even a little bit, you can really fade the ball. And he did stay down on it, and is going to carry it up short of the green, takes a big hop, and it is going to go just past pin high. A fantastic shot. Oh, George Knudson lies 2 here on the 7th hole, just in front of the green. He is 80 feet from the hole. We'll try to get it up there close with a putter. Did he hit it hard enough? Beautiful. Beautiful. The average player is going to take 3 from there every time, and sometimes maybe even 4. Now here is Stan Leonard, who hit just a super golf shot. A 3-iron into this green from a hanging lie and put it 8 feet from the hole. He would really love to get this one down. And if he does, he'll move to 1 under par. Great 3. Absolutely a terrific 3. And Stan Leonard moves to 1 under par. Well, I want to tell you, this guy got a kick out of that. I'm not too sure George Knudson did. He's got about a little 4-footer here to get down for his 4. And he needs us to stay 3 under par. He hasn't even come close to bogeying a hole yet. And he's not going to bogey this one either. Good 4 by Knudson, a tremendous 3 by Stan Leonard. Knudson 3 under, and now Leonard 1 under, just 2 shots back. Well, Gene, you will not see many better 3s than that.
George, that's one of the finest birdies I've seen in a long time. You know, he had a very hanging lie there, and I didn't think he could reach the green or even keep it on line. It was really wonderful.
Indeed, it wasn't then he made the putt, and that really made the hole.
And don't forget that Knudson got a beautiful 4 also.
Indeed, he did. We have completed 7 holes. George Knudson 3 under, now leading Stan Leonard by but 2 strokes on Shell's wonderful world of golf. On the 8th hole, Shadows, a par 4 dogleg to the left of 369 yards, both players succeeded in reaching the putting surface with a drive and a wedge.
Well, George Knudson has left himself a bit of a putt here on the 8th green. He is 31 feet from the hole, and if you can believe your eyes, this is going to have a great big bend from right to left. He starts away to the right. It's coming in. Look out.
Right by the hole on the left. This boy has got a beautiful putting stroke. He gives that ball a chance to go in the hole on every green.
About 20 inches or so past the hole, and now he has this little downhill putt to remain 3 under par.
And he makes it, no question about it. No side door putts. He hits everything right in the back of the cup.
Now, Stan Leonard, who picked up a shot on the last hole, has a downhill putt here of about, 15 or 16 feet.
Looks like maybe. Birdie three for Stan Leonard. He is 2 under par and now trails George Knudson by only 1 shot. And is he happy? Well, Gene, I have a feeling the game is just getting started here.
Well, you know, George, it's a funny thing, but when a player holds a putt like Leonard did on that 7th hole, they get fired up.
It just kind of gives you some kind of a charge.
Oh, yes. He's not through yet.
Well, he's made quite a move now. He has caught George Knudson 2 shots in the last 2 holes. We've completed 8. Knudson is 3 under, but now Leonard is 2 under on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. On the 9th, Bunker Hill, an uphill par 3 of 190 yards, Leonard bunkered his tee shot to the right of the green, while Knudson barely caught the front edge of the putting surface.
Stan Leonard has left himself a real tough shot here in the 9th hole, a long explosion of about 75 feet. He is really digging those feet into the sand to make sure he doesn't slip. Has the face of the wedge laid wide open for a quick loft. He must get the ball up.
He's caught up a good-looking shot. What a beauty of a golf shot. Put it 4 feet from the hole, from 75 feet away.
Well, George Knudson is in a bit of an unusual situation here also. His ball is about 28 or 29 feet from the hole, but it's right against the little collar fringe around the green, which means that he cannot get all of that putter at it. So he'll have to rather hit sharply down on the ball, which of course can make it take a few unpredictable moves as it goes up to the hole. Didn't get it up. Did you note the peculiar little stroke? About all he can do is, as I say, hit down sharp and almost jab that ball up toward the hole. That's about 1.5 feet short. And he taps it in for a par 3 here at the 9th. So George Knudson finishes the front 9 3 under par. 34. This is 37 out, 35 in, 72. Repeating Knudson, 3 under par, 34. Now Stan Leonard has a good 4-footer to try to get down here to save his 3 and finish the front 9. 2 under par, 35. And he got it in the side door, and Stan Leonard finishes 35, 2 under par. Well, Gene, that was sure some front 9. I'm interested in hearing your reaction to it.
Well, George, we saw some remarkable golf there. Knudsen's great driving and great iron play, and our friend Leonard, after that shaky start coming back in 35, that was remarkable golf. I was very much impressed with that 9 holes.
I figure the swells between them picked up 7 birdies, which is not too bad. Georgie, you played a little steady, I'd say. 6 pars and 3 birds.
George, that's just the way I like to play. I was very pleased.
Gene was mentioning to folks that you just got that putter yesterday.
That's right. It's a brand newie, and it hasn't 3-putted, so it's still with me.
You take $350 for it?
Not right now.
Never happened, I'll bet. Stan, you had a little bit of trouble on the first hole, but you made 4 birds coming back. Made a great recovery.
George, I've turned into a pretty good scraper, wouldn't you say?
Well, you made probably the best 3 I've seen in a long time on that 7th hole.
That was kind of sweet. That kind of brought me from nowhere right back in there. At least I'd like to feel that way right at the moment.
Well, you sure did. I mentioned to Gene you got 7 birdies between you. Maybe we can get 7 or 8 more on the backside, huh?
Let's go.
Good. 10th tee's right across the road. If you join Gene, tell the folks at home something about this hole. This only is a 447-yard hole, but it is a par 5 that plays much longer than its yardage would indicate because your second shot is all carry uphill. Your line for the tee shot is that bunker, 325 yards out on the right. The hole is dog-legged about 250 yards out by evergreens on the left side. Your approach to the green is narrowed by 2 bunkers on the left and by a long one on the right. The green is protected pin high on the right by cross-bunkering and by a deep fall away to the right and rear. Now we're all set to start down the backside.
Stan Leonard has hit an absolutely perfect tee shot, a draw. Right to left, bends it down there around the dog leg. That ball will have plenty of overspin and really run him out on the fairway. Now, George Knudson, who at one time in this match enjoyed a lead of 3 strokes. By the time we had finished the first 9, he saw that lead shrink to about 1 shot. And he has hit a honey of a shot. That neither drew nor faded, just straight away right down the fairway, down in the hollow. Well, again, here on this 10th hole, you could just about cover these 2 tee shots with a hat. George Knudson drove his ball about 280 yards, and Stan drove his about 285, both dead center fairway. Now, Knudson is going to hit a 3-iron for his second. And to show you how deceiving the second shot is, from his ball it looks as though there's no way it could be more than a 5-iron. But he'll have to hit a 3 and really hit it to get it here. He is hitting it in with a bit of a draw. Hits the front part of the green, runs back and in, almost exactly pin high, about 21 or 22 feet from the hole. Now Stan Leonard, who has a pretty good shot to follow. Where George Knudson hit a 3, Stan is going to hit a 4-iron. It's a great advantage to drive farthest off the tee and be able to hit your second shot second so you can study the other fellas. Stanley's hit another good-looking shot, too, that comes onto the front of the green and, well, had a little bit of roll on it. I didn't come in quite as close as the George Knudson shot. Well, both players have reached the green on this par 5 10th hole in 2, and they both have putts for eagle 3s. Stan Leonard left his ball below the pin, short of it about 39 or 40 feet. Beautiful to watch these good players, the way they get down in 2 from long distances like this. And sometimes even in 1. Well, Stan was trying to make 3 there, and he really gunned that putt about 5 feet past the hole. He walked on up and he said to Knudson, George, I've got to mark that one. He wants to mark it. Think about it. Look at it. George Knudson, who hit his second shot here almost pin high on the left, is exactly 19 feet from the hole. And this is another one of those putts that will have a big borrow or break to it. In this case, from left to right as George looks at the hole. Good for speed.
And that, my friends, is an eagle 3, and George Knudson has suddenly and dramatically gone 5 under par.
George, you got it going.
That was lovely. Boy, what a putt.
That's perfect for speed. How much did that ball break right up the hole?
It broke about 1.5 to 2 feet.
Well, that makes this putt of Stanley's a little bit tough now, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, he really needs this one.
This is for a birdie 4. Knudson has now moved to 5 under par. Leonard is 2 under and needs this to go 3 under.
Well, there's a good pressure putt. So we have an eagle 3 by George Knudson, a birdie 4 by Stan Leonard. George is now 5 under, and this was quite a hole. On the 11th hole, wishing well, a 155-yard par 3 water hole, both Knudson and Leonard hit the green in 1 in a match which had already seen a total of 8 birdies and an eagle.
Well, again, here on the 11th green, both of these players have pretty reasonable putts for birdies. George Knudson is 15 feet from the hole. Has a downhill putt. Stan Leonard has a downhill putt also, but he's about 9 feet away. And both these putts look as though they must break left to right.
I'll tell you, he cannot miss with that blade. Knudson is now 6 under par.
6 under par. George, come over here. I'll offer you $500 for that putt,
Couldn't get it for 1,000.
Believe it. George Knudson, 6 under par. Stan Leonard is 3 under. And has this putt of about 9 feet to go 4 under. Didn't quite give it enough, so Stan will tap in for a par 3 here at the 11th hole. And once again, George Knudson has opened up a 3-stroke lead.
Well, Gene, have you ever seen a more fantastic putting exhibition?
George, it happened to me in 1935 during the Masters tournament. I was putting badly before the tournament. I walked in the shop, bought a new putter, and putted terrifically for a whole week. After that, I couldn't hold a putt with the same putter.
I tell you, I think Jock McKinnon's liable to have a lot of business up in the shop after this match. We have now finished 11 holes. George Knudson is unbelievably 6 under par and has a 3-stroke lead on Stan Leonard on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf.
On the 12th hole, the burn, a 368-yard par 4 doglegging to the right. Both Knudson and Leonard again hit the green in regulation figures.
Here on this 12th hole, George Knudson has really left himself a dandy of a putt. He is 40 feet below the hole. Has a big camel back to go over. Putting has been fantastic. I was just checking the scorecard. We've had 8 one-putt greens. And not a gimme in the bunch. Over the mound she comes, but she will not get to the hole.
George left that ball about 4 feet short.
Stan Leonard has the opposite problem. His putt is all downhill. He must be careful not to go past too far. Yet, obviously, if he doesn't get it to the hole, he doesn't give himself a chance to make the putt. He is 28 feet away. Starts to break left to right in toward the hole.
I want to tell you, you can't believe that.
Stanley, I was beginning to think for a while that George is the only one that could kill those snakes.
Miracles. It can happen.
Beautiful. Right in the hole. I think we shoot about 4 under.
Yeah, that's a little better than I know how.
Well, there's George Knudson taking a real good look at this putt. He is about 4.5 feet from the hole. And he needs this one to remain 6 under.
Just like eating cake. Knudson 6 under, Leonard 4 under after 12 holes here at Capilano.
On the 13th hole, Canyon, a 402-yard par 4 dogleg to the right. Both Stan and George, playing steadily from tee to green in addition to putting brilliantly, reached the putting surface in the regulation 2 strokes.
Well, here on this 13th green, once again, thanks to 2 fine approaches, both these players have a pretty good chance at a birdie. Stan Leonard has a putt that looks to, at least as though it's almost straight. He is about 15 or 16 feet from the hole. And give this one a chance, I'll guarantee you. But he didn't. Stan just has a big grin on his face. He is, shakes his head and he said, I thought I had it. He really had the line, but he just didn't hit it hard enough. So, as you see, he'll leave it about 1.5 feet short, dead in line. He turned around the gallery and he said, isn't that horrible? Well, here's George Knudson. We're going to have to start to call him Blades, I'll tell you. He is 9 feet away. This fellow's already picked up 4 birdies and 1 eagle in this match. Stan Leonard has 6 birdies. Sensational golf. Leonard is 4 under. Knudson is 6 under.
I beg your pardon. George Knudson is now 7 under par. 7 under par.
And he comes over here as Stan gets ready to tap this in.
And does to remain 4 under. You're now 7 under, George. Any comments?
You couldn't buy the putter for $1,500, no.
I believe it. Well, Gene, this gallery is just getting a tremendous bang out of this fantastic scoring.
George, you realize since we walked off the 6th green, they've had nothing but birdies and eagles, with the exception of the 9th hole. I think they blew up there. They had 2 pars.
2 pars. Well, we've now finished a total of 13 holes. George Knudson, 7 under par. Stan Leonard, 4 under par. On Shell's Wonderful World of Golf.
There was no change in the match on the 14th, the par 3 of 136 yards, or the 15th, the 420-yard par 4, as both players matched regulation figures. On the 16th, Haddon Hall, a backbreaking par 3 of 254 yards, Knudson missed the green to bogey the hole and moved to 6 under par. Leonard also missed, bunkering his tee shot 90 feet to the right of the pin. He recovered magnificently to save his 3, and at 4 under to trail Knudson by but 2 strokes, going to the 17th.
The par 4, 443-yard 17th hole plays to a gently descending fairway, but it's narrowed by bunkers left and right at about 265 yards out. You play to a completely unprotected green, set in the shadows of towering evergreens. Well, Stan Leonard has the honor back once again here on the 17th tee with a par 3 of the 16th to George Knudson's bogey 4. You golfers in the audience will appreciate the intriguing part of this hole, which is the second shot. Here you have a green that is not set off by any bunkering, and it makes judging that distance quite difficult.
Yowee. Boy, he hit that. I hit it on the safe side of the fairway, down the left, but it took a big kick right and will wind up right smack in the middle. Big shot.
And now George Knudson, who must try to carefully nurse along this 2-shot lead over the final 2 holes. Quite a bit of target area out there for your tee shot. And George has hit quite a pronounced draw down to the left side of the fairway. Hits and takes a big bounce and runs down toward the trap, but finishes well short of it. He'll also have an open shot to the green. George Knudson hit his tee shot about 280 yards here on the 17th, and he has wound up in a rather unfortunate lie. He side hit a lie with the ball beneath his feet, and to compound his troubles, the ball is lying in clover. There will be a tendency to hit the ball left to right from this lie, but actually he's on the left side of the fairway. It could help him. He is hitting it up close to the trees,
And it will stop on the green as it comes in. How about that? Beautifully faded 7-iron shot.
I'll tell you, George Knudson played a real nervy shot. That ball of his actually just ticked those evergreen trees on the way on into the green. Stan Leonard has hit his ball right center of the fairway, 285 yards. He has a perfect lie, and he will hit in 8-iron. Pretty tough to put inside Knudson's shot.
Stan is going to give it a try, though, if he gets a good bounce. He does not. That ball took one short hop and then trickle, and I thought for a moment he'd be even closer to the hole.
Stan Leonard had a beautiful 9-iron approach shot into the 17th green, which pulled up a little quickly on him. He has left himself 15 feet below the hole with an uphill putt. Of course, a golfer every time will prefer that to a downhill putt because he can be quite firm with this. He must get it to the hole.
Well, you heard that explosive scream from the gallery as Stan Leonard knocks in that 15-footer for a birdie 3 to move 5 under par.
And now he is within one shot of George Knudson. How about that, indeed? That was a beautiful putt, Stanley.
Thank you, George.
I thought for a minute maybe it wouldn't get
It
up.
looked like it was going to run out of TCP there for just a minute, huh?
Indeed it did. Well, George has got a nice little slippery 12 or 13-footer now coming downhill. How do you figure this one will be for him?
Well, it's going to go to the left a little bit. I think he could overplay it a little bit.
I'll tell you, he didn't miss that one by a whisker. Yes, that was bad luck. He will tap in for a par 4 at 17. And we go to the final hole with just one shot separating these two great players. Knudson 6 under, Leonard now 5 under.
Our gallery today is experiencing the ultimate sports thrill of watching real champions in action. And that same lure draws thousands each year to the colorful Squamish Valley Games. Here, champion lumberjacks turn the very skills with which they earn their livings into contests that are rough, rugged, and sometimes very wet. It is appropriate that the tools and skills of the lumber industry form the background for these typical British Columbian games. For it is this industry that has traditionally provided much of the wealth of Western Canada. But today, the search is beginning for another kind of natural wealth that lies beneath the Canadian seas. Here, the tools are ships and explosions and delicate instruments to measure the echoes from those explosions as they bounce back from geological structures deep under the bottom of the sea, and sonar to make sure that fish and marine life are given maximum protection. The skills are seamanship, to chart with the help of a land-based electronic navigational survey system over 11 million acres of a landscape where there are no landmarks, and seismology, to read and interpret the mysterious lines the instruments record. These are the tools and skills necessary for the underwater search for oil. Shell has undertaken this search off Canada's west coast. It is a task that may continue for several years before it will be known whether or not oil does exist deep under the waters. But it is a task necessary to ensure that your neighborhood service station will always have the products and services you need in plentiful supply at reasonable prices and fashioned to a standard of excellence you have learned to expect wherever you see this familiar sign. For the world over, this is the symbol of Shell's constant search for new products, new ideas, new ways to serve you better.
Your drive here on the par 5, 575-yard 18th carries a ditch 50 yards in front of the tee. You play to a fairway lined left and right by bunkers, and your uphill second shot is blind over a ridge. Trees on the right dogleg the hole almost 45 degrees to an elevated green that is guarded in front by 3 sprawling bunkers. And there is out of bounds a rockery on the right, an unusual finishing hole.
Veteran Stan Leonard, who is making a tremendous closing rush. He was 3 down with 3 holes to play, 2 down with 2 holes to play. He is now but 1 shot behind here in the 18th. And this man has made an unbelievable 7 birdies in this golf match.
And there's one of the best tee shots he has hit. He just murdered that ball right up the middle of the fairway.
And now, young George Knudson, who is grimly trying to hang on to a 1-stroke lead. Speaking of amazing cards, this boy does not have a 5 on his card. He has had nothing but 4s and 3s. He has made 5 birdies and an eagle. And he has hit quite a broad hook, which is going to be over in the vicinity of the bunker. But I don't know if he made it or not. I think he stopped short of the bunker. George Knudson got just about the worst break imaginable here on the 18th. He hooked his tee shot around 240 or 245 yards. He's on the knoll of a grass bunker with the ball 2 or 3 feet above his feet. He's taken a 5-iron. All he can do is just play safe out to the fairway. And he hit a magnificent recovery shot. Golly, I didn't think he could move that ball 100 yards. He must have hit it about 170. Well, Stan Leonard hit his tee shot into the breeze 250 yards, dead center fairway. He is going to lay this ball up the fairway with a 3-wood. I might mention another tremendously difficult thing about the shot Knudson just executed. He had a big clump of grass right in front of the ball. And the shot that he hit is just absolutely amazing. Stan will really hit this one hard to get up as close to that green as he can. And he hit a very high towering 3-wood past the bunkers, right in the middle of the fairway, and he'll have just a little wedge pitch left of the green. George Knudson's fantastic recovery shot with a 5-iron from an almost impossible lie has left him about 165 yards from this home green. He is hitting his shot into a breeze. The green is elevated and exposed to that wind. Starts the 6-iron way to the right. It is going to hit on the bank, kick down to the green, and he put it right on the green. George Knudson lies 3 on the 18th green. He's about 45 or 46 feet from the hole. Stan Leonard lies 2, and he is about 95 yards short of the pin. Stan will hit a pitching wedge and do everything he possibly can to get this ball close and have a decent crack at a birdie 4. He has hit a pretty good-looking shot. A pretty good-looking shot, I'll tell you. And he will have a good chance at a birdie 4. Well, the pressure is really on here on the 18th green, and it is on both players. George Knudson is 45 feet short of and below the hole. Remember, $3,000 to the winner, $2,000 to the loser, $2,500 apiece in case of a tie. If George Knudson can get down in 2 here, he will have shot a 66-6 under par. He got up and got ready to hit it. Something disrupted his concentration, and he very wisely stepped away from the ball. A last look. One practice stroke. And here we go. Three feet from the hole. The ball took a big right to left break as it had to. Now George Knudson will mark, and he will not putt out. Now the pressure in turn is all on Stan Leonard. Knudson had to get it down in 2. Stan Leonard must get it down in 1. He needs this putt for a 66. 2 putts for a 500 par, 67. And Stan is 11 feet from the hole with a touchy downhill putt.
Stan Leonard has birdied the 18th hole to finish with a 6 under par, 66. And what a comeback!
And the pressure again has been transferred. This time back to George Knudson, who now needs this 3-foot putt for a tie. .266s, they're all square.
Stan the man. Boy, I never thought you'd do it out of that second hole. Do you realize that you played the last 16 holes in 56 strokes? That's the greatest 16 holes I've ever seen in my life.
Well, Squire, I hadn't realized it until you said it, but I can assure you, now that I started counting them up, I really did have a wonderful game with George. It was one of the best games I think I've ever been in my life, and that's been quite a while, as you know.
George, you certainly played a great round of golf, and I never thought it'd come out this way, but here I am. I have to congratulate both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.
What do you think of this fella here?
Well, I really enjoyed the match. As Stan said, it was really something. I'm just glad I didn't have any more holes to play the way he was coming at me, because I was running a little short of time there.
Well, I want to congratulate you both for a very thrilling match. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Jim.
George Rogers?
Well, Gene, together with everybody else in this throng, I was just left limp at this finish. Stan Leonard came home in an incredible 31 blows. He had 8 birdies on his card. He won the last 3 holes in a row, which he had to do to get a tie. George Knudson came home in 32. He had 5 birdies and an eagle, and all in all, this has got to be one of the most exciting golf matches that has ever been played. Our sincere thanks, Doug Bages, to you for having acted as our referee.
You're welcome, George. It was a thrill to see a match like this one.
Wasn't it, though, huh? Vicky, again, officially, how did they finish, Jay?
They finished in a tie, both 6 under par with 66s.
And that would be just 2 strokes off the competitive course record.
Yes, that is right.
Thanks to you for acting as our scorekeeper.
It was a pleasure.
Now, let's join Gene and our 2 players for some tips on technique.
The ugliest word in golf is shank. In fact, I even hate to mention it. The shank occurs when the ball is struck by the hosel. That's where the club head joins the shaft. The result is a shot that squirts off to the right at a 45-degree angle. Here's Stan Leonard to tell us what causes a shank and how to avoid it.
The surest way to invite a shank is to address the ball with the weight toward the toes and the arms less than fully extended. This combination allows the club head to move outside the line of flight on the downswing, and the shank results. To correct this, position the weight well back through the heels at address for better balance, and extend the arms comfortably to measure the correct distance from the ball. As you execute the swing, keeping the weight back on the heels will return the club face squarely to the ball. Your shots will fly farther and straighter, and the shank is not likely to occur.
When the average player finds his ball on the fringe, just off the green, the best club for him to use is the putter. When he's 10 or 15 feet off the green, it's too risky, and he has to chip the ball. Here's George Knudson to show you 2 varieties of chip shots.
The low handicap player who has time to devote to practice should use a lofted club in this situation, perhaps an 8 or 9 iron. Take an open stance with the weight mostly on the left foot and the ball positioned slightly right of center in the stance. Now here's the secret. Close the face of the club at address and strike the ball a descending blow. This produces low trajectory with plenty of backspin for maximum control. With practice, you'll get the ball close to the hole time after time. The golfer who can play only on weekends should make a different club selection. Assuming the same stance and ball position, take a straighter face club, perhaps a 5 or 6 iron. Now play the shot basically like a long putt. Keep the club head low, going back and coming through. Try to carry the ball onto the near edge of the green and let it roll the rest of the way to the hole. You'll find that this shot can be a great stroke saver.